everyone, welcome back to Grief Unfiltered. I'm Crystal, the sister who tries to stay organized but definitely does not.
And I'm Danette, the sister who thinks she's the calm one until life proves otherwise.
We're the duo behind Grow Through Your Grief, figuring out life, loss, and healing one emotional plot twist at a time.
If you're grieving, missing someone, or just trying not to spiral about absolutely everything, welcome. You're in the right place.
No perfection, no pretending, just honest sister chats, dark humor when necessary, and real talk about grief. On today's episode, we are going to be talking to you on our dad's birthday. So his birthday is today, the day that we are recording this podcast. So we wanted to really talk to you about the week leading up to his birthday and just the effects and the emotions that we've had this week, and just chat about same dad, same family, but how we both have processed and experienced this week a little bit differently. Danette, do you want to start off by telling us a little bit about how your week has gone, or anything stand out to you and how you're feeling?
Yeah, absolutely. And first of all, we were supposed to meet yesterday, but I was busy with family things. So we're meeting today. And I didn't even realize that we would be meeting on Dad's birthday and have to record a podcast. And so here we are. I think that the week leading up to it, there's always a ton of like anxiety and anticipation of, okay, it's Dad's birthday week. What are we doing? We're celebrating with the family this afternoon, which I'm so excited for. And also, I do want to chat briefly about a text message that I got randomly on a Thursday this week. I was in the middle of talking to one of my coworkers, and all of a sudden I got a text saying, so-and-so's dad died. And it brings up so many emotions and takes me back to the day that our dad died. And then I start thinking and overthinking, I'm really good at that, about what do I say? Like, how do I text this individual back? What do I say? Nothing that I say is going to change the situation. But how do I help offer comfort without overstepping?
Yeah, that's tough. What did you end up saying?
I think I just ended up saying, I am so sorry to hear that news. Please let us know if you need anything, which I feel like is standard. But also, I want to say more, right? I want to be super supportive. I want to say as much as I possibly can, but it sucks because it brings up my grief too. And then it also makes me like, I want to be relatable, but now's probably not the time to be like, hey, I know exactly how that feels. I don't want to ever make it about me when it's about them. And I don't know, has that ever happened to you? Because I'm sure it has. But what do you do? What do you say? I don't even know. And I feel like that's the hard thing, right? I don't know.
Yeah, I think no matter how much grief you've ever experienced, or whether you've been through it or not, I think it's such an uncomfortable thing when it comes up, because you don't want to say the wrong thing. And again, to your point, you don't want to make it about yourself, because it's so easy to want to word vomit and say, oh my gosh, I know exactly how you're feeling, and I'm here to talk to you and make sure you take care of yourself. And you want to just throw out all this unsolicited advice because you've been there, but it's not necessarily your place. Maybe it is, if it's depending upon the relationship that you have with the person that is experiencing the grief right now. But I think it's one of those things where just keeping it short and sweet and brief is best. And then maybe reaching out in a week or so is what I've tried to do, because I just think back to us and like how extremely overwhelming it was when he first passed away. You get so many phone calls, so many text messages, and it's a lot to even respond to things sometimes. And so I think really just keeping it short and sweet, and then I think following up later is great, because I think one thing too is that initial comfort that you get when somebody dies, it starts to go away over time. So that initial comfort and support starts to dwindle away as people go back to their real lives. I think checking in with people is so important, and then really opening the door of, okay, how do you feel? I'm here, truly here to chat with you about it, but it's got to be on your terms. Like, you open up to me and I will give back what you're giving to me. Like, I don't want to impose or push myself onto somebody unless they are asking for it and truly want to open up and connect, because we all handle it differently. And then going back to your question about have I ever experienced it? Yes, I have a few times. I like to describe it as being hit with a brick to the face, totally out of the blue and unexpected. One story that I can think of off the top of my head is when Kinsley was in preschool, one of her teachers' dads passed away. I knew he was sick. I knew he wasn't doing well. Just when you walk in and you have a substitute teacher and you find out that Kinsley's teacher's dad passed away, you initially get really sad because you feel so much empathy for her. But then after that, every day that you show up, you're like, one of these days she's coming back to work and I'm going to have to face her. And it's going to be really hard to look her in the eye, knowing what she's just gone through without just losing it. The first day she came back to work, I went up to her and gave her a hug because she knows I lost my dad too. We talked to because her dad was sick as well, like ours was. And I just remember giving her a hug and she just melted into my arms and just started bawling in my arms. And I started bawling, and we're in preschool class. And it's like, you're trying to hold us together in front of all these little kids. And it was crazy. And I didn't even say anything. I just literally gave her a hug and she just melted. And then I left and I went out and I sat in my car and I just bawled because brings up so many emotions for you too. And then you feel so bad for her because you're like, I know exactly what you're going to go through. And it's awful.
Yeah, I think that's like the hardest part because, yes, they're navigating this journey on their own. And then it just brings up so much emotion too, right? Like within your own grief journey. And I think that's where it's hard because it's, oh, a random Thursday in the middle of my workday, I get this text, or you walking into preschool. Like it's so hard because you just never truly know when or how the grief is going to show up in your life.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And funny story too, speaking of that, earlier this week, I don't remember which day it was, but I was driving down the highway and of course, I just got my windshield replaced because I do a lot of highway driving for work and I do get a lot of rocks kicked up. And I've gone through quite a few windshields. And I had a nice, pretty shiny windshield that I replaced probably in May. So it hasn't been that long. And of course, I'm driving and I see this huge rock fly and it made a huge circle on my windshield. And guess whose truck had a huge circle in their windshield? Our dad's. So it's really funny. I got mad at first. I'm like, ugh. And then at this point, I'm just like, you know what? This is part of driving on the highway. But then I saw it was a circle and I smiled. And I'm like, I was smiling. I just took a huge rock to my windshield and I'm going to have to get it replaced. We were driving, I don't know if you were there, but we were driving with dad on a dirt road when a rock flicked up and he never replaced his windshield because it was like really low on the windshield. And to this day, there's still the big circle. And that's how my windshield looks right now. I texted a picture to Jeff, my husband, and his response was, at least now your windshield looks like your dad's. And I'm like, I just started smiling and laughing, but I'm like, I should be so mad right now. But knowing that dad's birthday was coming up, I was like, cool, thanks, dad. Thanks for sending me some good reminders of you. Then on that same drive, about 15 minutes later, I was driving again down a different highway. I'd pulled off and onto another highway. And I look up and I'm following a truck, which normally I go around because rocks. And I look up and it's a septic tank truck. And growing up, we had a septic tank at our house. And it was a company that my dad has a carabiner that I keep in my car. It was the same company. And so it was cool. I followed that truck for 5 miles before I finally got annoyed that he was driving slow and I passed him. But I was literally just like driving like an idiot down the highway, just smiling like I'm following a septic tank truck. But I was so happy.
Yeah, 100%. But it's also like the little signs, like that small crack in your windshield, following the truck, like all leading up to dad's birthday. What are the chances of both of those things happening?
I know. It's so true. And it's tough because the little things remind you of them, which is so great. And it's also so tough too, because again, it hits you out of nowhere that it's like, I'm just driving to work. And then all of a sudden, oh, boom, you get a rock and then a crack. Oh, boom, there's a septic tank truck right in front of you. That's going to remind you of your dad too. It's like, I'm just trying to drive to work and live my life. And then it's boom. You just
Never know. That's a good point. Yeah, just little reminders, right? That we're human and just reminders from dad.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what else I always think about too, like leading up to dates, like anniversary dates and birthdays is milk. When your milk expires, you know that the date is getting close when the milk is expiring, like right around then. And we drink a lot of milk in our house. It's the first thing you see when you open the refrigerator. Milk, for whatever reason, just always reminds me of birthdays and anniversaries. Like when it gets close to my birthday, I'm like, ooh, the milk's is after my birthday. That means it's coming up, or vice versa.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
So you just know when the milk's expiring, the day is getting close.
That's a
So
good point. I don't think I've ever put that relationship together on the milk expiring with like correlating dates. That's funny.
now you will. And also
Now I
those of you
will.
that are listening to this, you will too. You're welcome.
Sky milk.
It's my contribution to making more things show up in your grease. Now, every time you look at a gallon of milk, you're going to be like, dang it, what's this expiration? What's coming up that's close to this?
Oh my God, that's so funny. I'm
Hmm.
gonna start paying attention to that.
How did you feel when you woke up this morning? Like when you opened your eyes, did you remember right away or walk me through the morning?
No, because I slept like dog crap last night. I was just like tossing and turning and I was hot because it's like abnormally warm here in Colorado right now for December. And I woke up and I was tired. We slept in, so I was like sheer panic of, oh my gosh, I gotta go get Owen up. And he was awake and I totally forgot. But what I always do when I wake up, and this is probably a terrible habit, is I open up Instagram and I saw your post and I was like, oh, it is Dad's birthday. It's an exciting day. There's no rules today. It's Dad's birthday. I'm going to treat myself. I went to Starbucks before we went and did all of our errands. But yeah, I think that it was just, it's so hard too because, like, obviously I knew it was Dad's birthday today. I've been talking about it all week about what we're doing today and how we're going to celebrate. And then it, like, actually is here. And I feel like it's just like a sense of relief almost because then you're not like still anticipating waking up on this day or how you're going to celebrate or what you're going to do. Yeah, it was a little bit chaotic, but then I saw your post and immediately started to smile. And I don't think, yes, we realize that this is the 10th year that we have to celebrate without Dad, but for some reason I feel like really relatively like calm about it. I'm sure we'll be emotional tonight, like seeing our uncles and our brother and being back in Longmont and at one of Dad's favorite restaurants that I haven't been to in years. I think it's going to be tough, but for right now, I feel pretty good.
Yeah,
How did you feel when you woke up this morning?
I do. I can't speak right away. No, but the first thing I do is I always look at my phone to see what time it is to see, especially with it not getting light out till 7:15 these days. You never know. Is it 5 a.m. or is it 7 a.m.? I'm not sure because it's still dark outside. And so I look at my phone and then you just see the date, December 14th. And then it just, my heart, and I get a little bit of heaviness in my chest. Like I feel like just physically, like I get a little bit of heaviness. That's my anxiety. And I took a deep breath and then I laid there and I listed out my post. I listed out 10. I didn't rush it. I literally laid there in the dark and just made a little list of 10 things that I miss and bawled my eyes out while I was typing it out and just thinking about all the memories and the good times and things like that. And then I made my post and I just laid there and had to decompress a little bit. But I just have been really just taking it easy today, like knowing that again, this afternoon will be pretty emotional going to see our brother and our uncles and stuff because our uncles just have a lot of the same mannerisms and they look like things like that. And so it can be trippy sometimes to see them, but I'm excited. I think the longer it is, it doesn't make it easier by any means, but I think that I look at it more as an opportunity to celebrate rather than as a negative thing because the first couple of years it was like I would just bawling the entire day.
That year of first is so hard, and there's so many anticipated dates. And I
Yeah.
think that as we go on and life goes on and time goes on, the milestone dates, like those are the hard ones, right? So this is 10 years, right? We'll be thinking about this again and having the same conversation in July when we approach Dad's 10 year. Two things that really resonated with me in your post this morning, they were all so great, and I really felt them all deep in my soul. The first one was the first 100 years are the roughest, because I remember Dad saying that all the time. Actually, I have three. The other one, which I don't think you necessarily maybe said, was like the morning. Like Dad was obviously such a morning person, but like silence is golden. And I never really understood that until like recently. And maybe it's just because I'm a mom now. And like any time that I can be alone, even just driving in my car, sometimes I don't even listen to the radio and just listen to pure silence because it's truly golden, as dad would say. And my final one would be supper because I feel like dad always called dinner supper. Like that was the last meal of the day. That's how he grew
Yes.
up. That was his strong vocabulary. And I feel like I've lost that. Like, even though I know yesterday when I was texting you about if Kinsley was coming or if your family was coming to the dinner today, I wrote out dinner and then I like backtracked and was like, supper, say supper.
Yeah.
Like how we can keep those like small memories alive because I feel like sometimes we let them go, but it's just a nice reminder that there's all of these great things that dad did for us and the way that he spoke or the way that he made us laugh or his personality and just remembering all of those today. It's just such a good reminder.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't put silence is golden, but that is a great reminder. Yeah, silence is golden is a great reminder. What I was referring to in my post is I would have to go to a lot of softball tournaments and we have to get up early. And when he would take me, it would be just like him and I awake. And he would be like whistling and so cheery. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Dad, it's 6 a.m. Like, this is not, it's not time yet to wake up. And I would be so grumpy and getting ready. And then we'd go get in the car and he's whistling and he's like, oh, check out the sunset, listen to the birds and all this stuff. And I was like, Dad, no, I would rather be sleeping. And I find myself now because I get up before my whole family and I go let our dogs outside and I always step outside regardless of the weather. And I just take a big deep breath and feel the crispness. There's something so crisp about the morning air. And I look at the sky when the sun is rising because that was his favorite, like lighting was like that dawn. I just really enjoy those peaceful moments because, like you, we don't get very many of those as a mom and as working moms, especially. And I cherish my quiet time. And
It really truly is. Do you know what else has been golden lately? The
what?
sunsets and the sunrises. I step outside and I watch the sunrise or whatnot. I was like, wow, Colorado's been showing off this whole week. Crazy.
Dad's birthday coming up had to give us some good sunsets and sunrises.
Most definitely. Oh, I miss that man.
Amazing. I did too. Man, me too. Like going back to what you said earlier about changing dinner to supper and keeping some of the sayings, the things that he said alive, if you will. What ways do you see dad kind of show up in you now?
Ooh, that's a good question. I feel like things have been a little bit hard for me right now just because I have a 2.5-year-old and we have a lot of transitions happening in his life. And like, I went to tell him today that, hey, we're going to Farmer Grandpa's birthday dinner tonight, but like, he doesn't know who Farmer Grandpa is. And that made me really sad. And I was like, obviously, Owen's middle name is Dean, which is our dad's name. And I was like, yeah, his name is Dean, like Owen Dean. I kept trying to like, and he was just like looking at me, like not registering it at all. And so I personally feel like I need to do a better job at it. Like, I don't really have pictures of dad in my house. I have one on my nightstand of just me and dad where I have like some of his ashes, but I don't really like truly like project it as much as I really should, especially to Owen, because I obviously want Owen to grow up knowing who his farmer Grandpa Dean was. And so now that we're talking about it, I feel like I need to be doing a better job at that because, like, even just the storytelling, right? Keeping dad's memory alive and telling stories to Owen about who his farmer Grandpa Dean was. Like, I don't know, maybe he's too young to really understand it, but I want to be better at that and build those traits too, right? I don't know. I don't think I just answered your question.
You didn't, but that's okay. That's a great thought. It's a great pivot.
Yep. There you go. Follow up on that one. What was the question? What traits dad has instilled in?
Yeah, in what ways do you see him showing up in you and who you are now?
Oh my gosh. I think the biggest one, and I think that both of our parents have instilled this in our DNA, is like our work ethic. And like you touched on this too in your Instagram post today, like dad just being so kind to everybody. Like, I remember one time we were just driving down the highway and this person had a flat tire. It was a lady, and he just stopped and changed her tire for her.
Yeah,
That kindness, I feel, can just go so far. That is one thing that I am instilling in Owen right now. He's just like the kindest, even though he's sometimes a demon. Like, just want to raise him to be a kind human being.
yeah,
He says please, he says thank you, and it like takes people aback. And I love that so much. Like when we're at the grocery store, he like sometimes tries to scan things or hand them to the cashier and he'll say thank you. And it's like the cutest ever. And it always takes people like by surprise, I feel like, because he's only 2.5. He'll be 3 in March, but I love that. And I think that I'm doing a really good job at that. And I think dad would be so proud to witness that too.
absolutely. He would. I know he would.
Yeah. Trying not to raise a little pterodactyl over here, but you know what
Yeah.
I was going to
No,
say, but keep it
I
at
know.
PG.
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah. No, just one thing that I do that reminds me of dad sometimes is there's that awkward space when you are going into a restaurant or into a door before somebody and there's someone coming behind you and you're like, do I hold the door for them or do I not? Because then you don't want to be rude and slam the door in their face. But then you're also like, if they hold the door, but they're too far away, then they feel like they have to speed up. And like, it's like the awkward zone. You know what I'm saying?
So awkward. I know exactly what
Oh
you're
my
saying.
God. Dad was always in the awkward zone. Like he would hold the door for too long. But I catch myself doing that too. And so people like run to the door because I just am trying not to be rude. And so I just giggle to myself every time that I hold the door for somebody that is like not directly behind me because it's just, it cracks me up. And another thing too that he taught us is he was a mechanic. And so he worked on a lot of semis. And just to respect truck drivers, regardless, yes, I hate driving behind them because they flick rocks at me and sometimes go a little slow. And I always give them respect, give them space. And one thing, when I'm driving on the highway and they have their turn signal on and they want to get in front of me, I always sit back and I flick my lights at them so that way they can get over. And it just makes me giggle. And then I love it when they like hit their brakes or turn on their lights for me to say thank you. Dad did that all the time. So that's something that I do because of him. Because those things aren't easy to drive, especially when there's a lot of traffic around. And so just be kind to truck drivers.
I actually love that you said that so much because Owen is obsessed with trucks right now. And so we always do the old school, like, are they going to honk at us? I just did a little fist pump. I know you can't see it because we want them to honk their horns at us all the time. So we always do that. Owen's obsessed with anything that honks at him, and he gets upset if someone doesn't, like the trash truck that comes in our neighborhood. We're friends with him now. We don't know his name, but like we're best friends because every time he drives by my house, he's so nice. He stops outside of our house, even though he's not picking up our trash because everyone in our neighborhood has a different service, and he honks the horn, and it's so cute. And we love it so much. And now every time we pass a semi truck on the highway, we try to do the same thing. But it's just not like it was when we were growing up. Like times have changed a little bit. We get them occasionally, but like obviously I don't want to also cause a car accident or cause a scene on the highway if like a semi's honking. So funny.
Startle everyone.
I know. Yeah, that would be terrible.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah. I think the point of this conversation, just for those of you listening, is truly reflect on the things that your person did that maybe when they were alive, felt like they could be annoying at times. Like, for instance, like dad, I'm like, God, why are you holding the door open for these people? Like, it's clearly like past the zone that you need to. And at the time, it was just always silly because it always made people feel like uncomfortable because they like had to like rush and stuff. And just things that they do or things that they would say sometimes that you're like, gosh, you say that all the time. And sometimes it could be annoying, like when you're a teenager or something. That's what I think back to is like the things that he did when we were teenagers that you're like, oh my gosh, you're so embarrassing and you're so annoying, dad. But like now it's like I would give anything to hear him say some of the things that he used to say to us. It's just a great reminder to really think about the things that they did and brought to the table and brought to you and carry them on. Be that awkward door holder. And then smile to yourself every time you see someone run.
That's funny. I love that so much.
Yeah. I just have one more question. What do you think is still really hard that a lot of people might not expect to be feeling 10 years later? I think obviously we know the first couple years are the roughest and most challenging, but like what is still really hard for you after 10 years?
I think as time goes on, the hardest part is like sometimes remembering all of these things or making sure that we do carry on those traditions or habits or mannerisms that dad had because it's been like so long, right? Gosh, this is his 10th birthday. We're celebrating without him, but I think that's the hardest thing. It's like sometimes I have a really hard time like hearing his voice or like going back and be like, oh, I should look at pictures of dad today. I should watch the video that we played at his service when he passed. I haven't watched that in a while. I think just trying to make sure that we keep those things alive just because it's been so long. Like, I feel like it's easy to do like the first couple of years because they're so fresh in your mind. It's, oh, dad would have done this, or dad would have really liked this, or dad would have done it this way. But as time goes on, I feel like I forget some of those things until we have these conversations. Like, oh, yeah, you're right. Dad did hold the door. Like, obviously, our perceptions are both very different. Like, I wouldn't have even thought about that. But now I'm going to think about it every time I hold the door open awkwardly for somebody. And the milk. How could I forget that? So, stuff like that, I think, is the hard. I think that's the hardest is that his memories aren't super fresh in my mind, which makes me really sad.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel that too.
I also feel like dad was so young when he died, but I remember thinking like, gosh, when he was still alive, I'm like, God, he's so old. And
Yeah.
now I'm like, wow, he was so incredibly young when he died. It makes me so sad.
Yeah. But he experienced a lot of life. He was 64 when he passed, which is he's at retirement age and he wasn't a young spring chicken, but he still had a lot of life to live. Our grandpa lived to be 95. So dad realistically could have had another 30 years. And I think that's really hard. I think one thing that's really hard for me that people don't see, I think, is just that just because time has passed doesn't make it easier. When people think about grief, I think there's very few that have truly been affected by a significant loss. Because if you truly think about it, there's only a handful of people that are truly a part of your everyday life. And that's going to be your parents, and provided you have good relationships with these people, but your parents, your siblings, and your significant others, and your children. Maybe you have a truly lifelong best friend, but most people have best friends that kind of change through time, and maybe they've only been in your life for a couple years. Your siblings, your parents, your spouses, and your children are like, they're your people that are there no matter what you go through with life. You can change jobs, you can change friends, you can change coworkers, you can change the people in your life. You look at your life a year ago and the people are different besides those people, obviously, considering, that there's no separations or bad blood or anything like that. I think that's the hardest part is that when people think death, everybody knows somebody that's died. But what happens is you experience the loss, you go to the funeral, you might cry for a little bit, but I read something that only 10 people actually cry at everybody's funeral. So that's sad. So you think about it, like the amount of people that have truly experienced a really devastating loss is not a lot, because out of the 5 or 6 people in your life that are you're closest to, we're not talking neighbors and things like that. Like we all know people that died, but people don't understand how painful losing such a main character in your life is until we've been there. And I think that's the hardest part for me is that a lot of people are like, oh yeah, I just go to the funeral and then you move on and life, the sun still rises, life still goes on, but it doesn't go on. It has to go on for us, but it's so much harder. It's not like losing somebody that you knew 20 years ago or lost a neighbor that you would wave to every once in a while. Like it's so deep and it's so real and it is so incredibly painful. And I don't think enough people experience that, which is great. Like it's great that a lot of people, I look at some of my friends' parents that are just now losing their parents, never lost a sibling or anything like that. And it's like, A lot of people make it into their 60s before they experience their first major loss. We were in our 20s, and I don't think people realize how much it changes you and how much it ages you at the same time. And just because it's been 10 years doesn't mean that it's easy.
Yeah, that was so beautifully said.
Thanks.
One thing I will say too, it's like you say it's so spot on because like obviously grandpa has passed too, but I don't think about grandpa as much as I think about dad.
Yeah. I think it's all about your relationship. Obviously, like our dad was our dad, and we knew our grandpa, and we got closer to him after our dad died, I think.
I
But
agree.
it's challenging. Grandpa wasn't a part of our everyday life. Like he was a part of our life, and I miss him. I miss him very much. But yeah, I definitely don't think about him or anybody else that's passed away in my life nearly as much as I think about my dad and my mother-in-law. My mother-in-law married to Jeff for 15 years when she passed away. So she was a huge part of my life. She texted me all the time, and we spent a lot of time together. It's tough.
The first 100 years are the roughest.
Ain't that the truth? Maybe we can live to 101 and we can have a good, easy one.
Yeah. We have pretty good genes, so maybe.
Hey, you never know.
You never know. I don't know if I want to live to that old, but maybe.
I know. I think if you're still like fully functioning and could take care of yourself, I'm game. But
Yeah, by all means, fair.
thank you so much for letting us get out our thoughts about our dad and the week and just letting it flow naturally. I know for me, just talking about him helps me tremendously. Think about what you miss about your person and think about how you can help bring them back into your life a little bit more, be a little more intentional. Jeanette mentioned earlier, post some photos of them throughout the house, make sure you're sharing stories constantly, and then just connect with a sibling or a parent or just somebody else in your life that knows that person as well. Just share some stories because you'll be surprised about what talking about it can trigger, your old memories to come up and resurface those awesome memories. So make sure you take care of yourself. Thanks for hanging out with us today. Truly, it means so much that you're here listening to our chaos and our feelings.
If you want more tools, more support, or just a place where people actually get it, head over to growthroughyourgrief.net.
And if this episode helped, send it to someone who might need a little love or someone who thinks they're the only one crying in the shower.
See you next time.